So RDA reporting emissions in May of this year, the state of Connecticut enacted an act on blight. We asked the town manager which I should mention is in town helping the local business economy, we were able to buy a great house next to the barn. So many days my wife lays in a hammock in the backyard. It's pretty nice seeing her back there with the barn in the background. Every morning when I wait for my Keurig to spit out my coffee, I look at the barn with the sun rising. It's the most calming 2 minutes of the day. Whenever we take pictures in the yard, we always do it with the barn in the background. In fact, a picture of my blue-tick coonhound with the barn in the background made it into my Tennessee alumni publication. I bet the same picture with a parking lot in the background wouldn't do the same. We have been falsely told many times that a sports complex increases the property values of the surrounding houses. Is the same true of living next to a parking lot? I doubt it, so I ask you, if this goes through, what will the town be doing to recoup the loss of property value of mine and the surrounding houses? How will it recoup the value of my diminishing quality of life? These are definitely questions that will absolutely need to be answered. I see posts all over social media from people running for town council that are canvassing the neighborhoods, campaigning, and getting opinions from town members. I think it's a great process because, you know, we are the ones that actually vote for you. If it's so important to get your opinions to get you elected, why has this clearly stopped? Your job as a town council is to represent the people, not to do what you want. I've gotten visits from representatives of one side of the council, but not the other. I wonder why. Newsflash, I'm an independent voter. Always have been, always will be. Shouldn't I be like the golden egg? Maybe some people just don't really care what I think at this point. 2 weeks ago, I invited you to contact me to walk up and down Highland because I had a solution to the parking issue without wasting $170,000 for something temporary. Nobody contacted me. Did anybody contact the gentleman that got up here to offer an amazing solution to the field at what would be an incredible price for the town? One that would also save a huge chunk of money to regrade and fix the issues with multiple other fields around town? Anyone contact him? I've spent 2 years stressing, losing sleep, and worrying about what the heck is going to happen. I'll be honest, the placement of this particular parking lot seems extremely personal. So what do you get when you complain about safely trying to get out of your driveway? Congratulations, you get to live next to a parking lot.
Mr. Young?
Good evening, Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. I have troubles hearing. That's why I moved up front here. I was browsing your agenda, and I can see at the last meeting where I was having difficulty understanding what was going on up here. I can see where you made a lot of settlements and took care of a lot of issues with that COVID money, ARPA money. And I think it's a shame what you've done. I don't see any road work. I don't see any roofing work. I don't see any fixing our permanent buildings. But I see a lot of other stuff. And then I see $1.5 million too for turf. And then I'm seeing, $170,000 for gravel? Why? Just because you have a public safety issue? You have a parking lot on the Highcrest School. Clean that up and put new pavement on that with the $170,000. Because Highcrest is going to be there for a long time. I don't suspect it's going to be torn down. I don't think it's going to pass any referendums. I think you're going to be dead in the water. And I think, Mayor, you made one big, huge mistake. You should have put this money into your buildings. Yeah, I know, you've got a chiller, and you've got a few other things. But I see some other things in here, too, that you're doing, like drainage. And it was return to the same property and now do the drainage. It was a rerun of what didn't happen some years ago. So we're paying double in a sense. But then, that's how Wethersfield is. They pay and pay and pay because nobody gives a hoot. Our council doesn't give a hoot. Then I'm noticing here there's a ARPA request from Friends of Keisha Farm. And I started reading it. And I'm like, Jim Woodley is asking for almost $200,000 from the ARPA funds for doing different things at the Keisha Farm, when in fact he stood up at this podium time and time again and says he wasn't going to need taxpayer money. He was going to be self-sufficient. Miss Greenblatt, Cindy Greenblatt, says the same thing. She had it validated by her students at the University of Hartford that they will never have to ask for funds from the state, from the town of Wethersfield. But here, just a few months, a few years later, here they are asking for money. $150,000 to do some structural engineering on a barn that's worthless. It has no historic value to it. I mean, Nelson, Brewski, they didn't get stable there years ago when George was zipping around here. There's nothing happened there except for people lived there. And they used that barn. That doesn't make it a significant barn. It's not even a post and beam building, for crying out loud. It's made out of cut lumber. Now, you have ancient homes in this town. That is not ancient. That doesn't come anywhere near. And this guy is talking about $150,000 to do a structural and engineering kind of architect kind of work. Where the heck is he coming from? Now, tell me, Mayor, I've come up with parts of speech over the years. You know the parts of speech? Nouns, pronouns, adjectives, all those kinds of things. And I've assigned them to many town council members over the years. I say their name, and then I throw a word behind it. It's like some of those people that were up here not long ago. You were they were talking about they want pronouns after their name. I'm saying, what the hell are they talking about? I don't understand that, but I was doing the same thing. Now, Jim Woodworth, what noun, pronoun, adjective, all those conjunctions, what do we put after his name when we think about him? When he did a deal like this, and that same goes with Cindy Greenblatt, who also said that they were not going to need town money, and here they are. Thank you very much. I'll be back.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I have the pleasure of living, how many houses away from you, Bob? 3-4 houses away from Bob. Even though we come from very different sides of this.
Hang on 1 second.
Yo, I'm sorry.
We know where you live, we just need to know your name.
That helps. My name is Kimberly Lawrence. I live at 168 Morgan Circle, formerly 141 Wolcott Hill Road, but that's because I sold my house. Actually, right before I became secretary on the board of directors for the Friends of the Keisha Farm. And I did that because I had so much hope. You talk about glass half full, glass half empty. Last time I got up here, you know, some people may say dramatic, whatever. Whatever I say comes straight from the heart, and super angry last time I came up here because I didn't want to believe that we were losing what seems to be the last of the farmland that's in Wethersfield. Again, I mentioned I grew up here and lived most of my 50 years here, and I'm sad to see what it's turned into. I don't even, sorry Paula, I actually don't want to field there. I still think Millwoods is the place for it. I think when people don't recognize that they're displacing bobcats and coyotes and foxes and all these animals, then they start bitching and moaning that they're in their backyard. It's like, oh my God, there's a bear. Literally, a bear walked down Morgan Circle, according to one of my neighbors, and I thought, it's because they don't freaking have anywhere to go anymore, you know? And then we have people who are crying, my kids, my pets, my this, my that. Well, you're tearing all their land down, like, you know, in my head, I'm saying, this isn't rocket science. What are we doing? You know, and that's where I always get to the point where I want to cry, because I'm so disheartened by the greed, by the selfishness, and I'm going to say it, but it's money motivated, what you're doing, because it always is, right? It's always about the money. How about the legacy you leave? How about the responsibility that you have being voted? And I'm sad to say that I voted for some of you. That's what hurts even more. And then to watch some of you, Councilman O'Connor and Pentelow, snickering while other people are up here talking about things that mean something to them. We're all people. We're all people. Your people, as much as I want to say mean things to you, I try not to, right? I know, you wouldn't care. Councilman Pentelow, you mentioned, okay.
It's not true.
Okay, well, because we are all...
Plenty of mean things. A lot of people have said plenty of mean things.
Yes.
So just be fair.
And I'm asking the same to you.
I am.
We all are. Like, hear us out for a second.
I've been hearing you.
Councilman Pentelow, you mentioned regenerative farming. A lot of people don't know what that is, right? Okay, so if you know how beneficial that is to organic farming or to farms in general, you should have brought that to people's attention. Unfortunately, we've been spending our time fighting with you guys, which is, we all live here. Like, what are we doing? This is what is just maddening to me. You know, I mean, if anyone should have known that regenerative farming would have been a better option, you should have brought it up. And my question to you is then, what made you decide not to bring that up? And my first thought is it money? Is it political? Is it, right?
Yeah, because we get paid a lot to be up here. It's a
Well,
ridiculous statement.
so then tell me why. I guess I just want to know.
This is
my 5
not a
minutes up?
conversation. Nope,
Okay.
we got a minute and like 10 seconds.
Okay,
But no back and forth. We're
Okay.
here, we're listening, we listened to you a month ago, so, you know.
okay. I guess I want to know what the motive is behind it all. You know what I mean? My motivations are heartfelt, and they're to actually what real progress looks like. You know, when you guys talk about progress and building, that's not progress, because something is being destroyed in the process. I'm trying to keep something so that progress is actually a good thing, that we're building up the community. Thank you, again. Thank you for your service.
And just so folks know, yes, it is true. I mean, we don't get paid. We're all volunteers up here. But we all have to abide by a code of ethics. You know, I don't think, I've known most of the ladies and gentlemen to my left and to my right, we don't do this for personal gain. We don't do it for financial gain. If we did it for financial gain, I think we would probably have the feds after us. And that's one thing none of us want. So, I mean, there's definitely no personal gain for anything. I think for the most part, we all do what we do, right or wrong, as our opinions differ. We do it on behalf of the town for different reasons. So with that said, yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Deborah Cullen, 73 Church Street. Just a quick suggestion, it may have been made at some point in the past, I don't know. This has been such a contentious issue between the community and council. It's been going on a very long time, and with all due respect, we know that at least 5 of you will not be returning, and my understanding is that's by choice. What I would like to suggest is that this entire issue be put on hold until we have a new town council. Let's start with fresh energy. Let's start with fresh relationships that have not gone sour. That just seems to make a lot of sense to me. I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but that's what I'll put on the record. And to some of you who are leaving, quite specifically our Republican council folks, I've been up here in the past and have been really on very opposite sides of your positions and whatnot. In the end, when you are no longer council people, if we are to meet in front of Aroma Bistro having coffee, I hope that we will be able to say hello, how are you, and get back to being neighbors. Thank you.
Nancy.
Nancy Jane Scholl, 5 Jacob Drive. I'd like to follow up on what Lee said about zoning. I have a copy of the zoning map, and I know it's dated 2014, but I understand it's current as well. The entire Keisha Farm is zoned single-family residence. The land on the north side is A1, as my house is, and the south side is AA. Today I spoke to Charles Morrison, who's the town zoning enforcement officer. He confirmed that the Keisha property is not in an AG agricultural zone. Agriculture isn't allowed use in a residential zone without a permit. However, any other non-conforming use, such as a parking lot, requires a written request for a CUSP and a hearing. For those who are unfamiliar with this process, a CUSP is a conditional use permitted only after special permit approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The proposed Highland Street parking gravel lot that is to be put on Keisha Farm would require then a CUSP, according to Mr. Morrison. Also, I feel that $170,000 for a temporary gravel parking lot is a very poor use of valuable ARPA funds. By the way, gravel is very heavy. Who would ever be shoveling that off the property? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, move on to public, council reports. Any council reports from boards or commissions? Quiet. Councilman Lesser?
Thank you, thank you, Mayor. I have two very quick. First, I attended the Parks and Rec Board meeting last week, and the only thing I'll report there is we have some new leadership on the board. The board voted to have Mike Busy, Mike Busy as the new chair and Rich Lepore as the new vice chair. So that's good news there in terms of new leadership. Both of them have been involved with it for a long time. And for a few minutes before this meeting, I went to the Wethersfield People with Disabilities Advisory Committee, and I'll just mention a couple things there. They have their Santa Pancake Breakfast December 9th. I hope all the councilors, whether you're on the council or not, will be able to attend that. Breakfast on December 9th. I hope to be serving pancakes as I did last year. And then lastly, with that group, they are very appreciative of the council approving $1,500 for that group, and they were very grateful to this group for that. That's all, Mayor.
Ken, is Councilor Forrest going to be with that beard? Is he going to be the Santa serving the pancakes?
It's getting closer.
Try not to.
Give me another month.
Try not to.
No Shave November is coming up.
Thank you, Mayor.
I need like a month head start for that.
Can't do it either.
Any other reports from boards or commissions? Councilman Forrest.
Just briefly, but I just wanted to congratulate and tell the council what a success the welcoming dinner was for the Human Rights and Relations Committee. Last month they had such a tremendous event that was well attended, and I think that the concept there, since it was close to, of course, and in our political season, was that it wouldn't be a political type of event, but really more of a welcoming event. And I think that, or I know that that success happened. And as we continue to grow, the different neighborhoods that we have in our town with different types of backgrounds, I think I can see how this committee is starting to get their legs under them and really making the outreach that's necessary and having success in bringing lots of different people together and celebrating our differences. So that's a real feather in our cap, a real success story, I think, for our town.
Great. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other reports from boards or commissions? I'll open it up to council comments. Council comments? Councilman O'Connor?
Thank you. And this will be directed to the town manager, acting town manager. My understanding, first off, I don't think there's anybody up here who doesn't think Mr. Morgan's offer is a very generous offer. I think everybody in here agrees with that. What I don't think a lot of people understand is we can't take a donation like that. One, I would love to have that engagement with him and tell him that, but we're not allowed to, unless I guess if you're being insulted, then maybe you can fight back, but we're not allowed to engage in that. But unions, if we were to allow him to go out there and do that, the unions would grieve that. And we have a history of already happening. I remember youth baseball one day, the grass was overgrown, so parents bought their own lawnmowers to cut the grass, and the union grieved it, because they're the ones who are supposed to cut the grass. So we can't just have a resident, as much as we would love to, just come up and do it. We'd have to go through proper channels, it would have to go out to bid and all of that. So as generous as that is, and as much as we as a town would love to jump on it, there are rules we have to follow that don't allow us to just do that. And then there's also his requirement that it have to be named after his father. Well, that's a whole nother story, and I'm not sure the Keisha people want to rename that field. So there's a lot more to it than just this generous offers that we supposedly don't want. It's not our choice to make, and I asked Kathy if I'm incorrect in that, or if that is a true statement.
Thank you.
I believe all of that would have to be looked into. It would just take a little time to research all of that.
And I know our town manager had raised those same concerns, and he was going to be looking into those as well, Councilman O'Connor.
And then the other comment I wanted to say, though, is to one of the speakers who came up here and said no one had come up and said they don't support fields, and I think you were corrected by the next speaker. The fact is, multiple people came up here and said they don't want fields on Keisha. In fact, the comment they used was 70% of people don't want playing fields on Keisha. Ironically, 72% don't want a farm on Keisha, too, if we use the same logic. But the fact is, numerous people came up here, and they weren't really nice about the way they came up here. And the way they described us in follow-up emails because we disagree is what creates the contention that's going back and forth. You know, and so I do want to address this one question is, when you asked about motive, you know what my motive is? It's honoring the intent of the voters. I was personally approached by members of the Keisha Farm Committee, members of the Democratic Town Committee, to lobby the sports groups to support purchasing Keisha Farms. I was personally approached. And I said I would do that provided we were able to put sports fields on there, because that was their biggest need. They were clamoring for more sports fields, for better fields, for something for the town to be proud of instead of these jury-rigged fields that we throw on any empty space we can find. And they said they were embarrassed by how the town is represented when other towns come and play here. No one was clamoring about, I need more potatoes and tomatoes. They were clamoring about, I need more sports fields. I committed that I would go and lobby the sports groups, and I did. And I did it in Wethersfield Life, and I called every member, every president of every sports organization, said we need to buy this farm. It's our final chance to get a real field. After I did that, and the town voted to buy that field, the Keisha Farms Committee said we don't want fields there. And so I'll give you an example. How would you feel if you went in and bought a car, and your car that you were buying had 4 doors,
convertible top and AC. But when you got off the lot, your car had 2 doors, a hard top, and no AC. You'd think you were sold a bill of goods. And if they said, well, I changed my mind, that's not acceptable. And that's exactly what happened here. It was sold. Several meetings ago, I read all the public comments that were stated from the mayor at the time to multiple members of Keisha Committee's Farm saying, we support fields there. After the field was bought, we go to say, let's put fields there. Suddenly, nobody wants fields there. That's not fair. And so my motive is to honor the will of the voters. My motive is because I was asked to do something on behalf, and I did that, and I got the wool pulled over my eyes for doing it because now you're reneging on it and saying we don't want fields at all. Now suddenly some of the same people said they don't want fields are coming up saying they want fields, but it has to be grass. So, to be honest with you, I don't really know what anybody wants anymore because we as a town, as a council, came up with a beautiful plan that gave everybody something. And it's still not enough. And that I don't understand. But I will address this. My motive is very simple. I know what I was asked to do by members of the Friends of Keisha Farms. I know who I lobbied and said, get your sports communities out there to buy this. And it wasn't an overwhelming majority that voted yay on this referendum. I mean, if you want to go back in time, I'd say, you know the best thing to go back in time? Do a new referendum. And be honest about it and say, we don't want sports fields. Don't tell people you want sports fields, say we don't. And if you got a giant development in that area of homes, well, then that's on the voters. But if we're really going to go back, let's go all the way back. And then my final point I would address is the issue of parking. What I'm confused is, I read an article 2 weeks ago in the Rare Reminder that said, in order to create a nonprofit farm, you have to have 40,000 visitors during the course of a year. Where are they going to park? And we know we can't have them park at Highcrest because that's already been told it's draconian, it's too far away. So where are they going to park? You obviously have to do a parking lot. Regardless of anything we do, whether it's farming, trails, or whatever, you need a parking lot. So to sit here and say we shouldn't have a parking lot or find somewhere, you have to have a parking lot. And so to me is regardless of what anybody does, there still needs to be a parking lot. And we had COVID funds to help address that situation, which addresses an immediate concern by residents who've been complaining, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, they have every right to complain about that. I would too if I lived there, about people parking in their driveway or blocking their driveway and cars up and down the road. Here's an opportunity to move them off the road. And so we said we have COVID funds, let's do that. I don't understand why that has to be an argument, but right now it's, if we propose one thing, the other group says no, something else. I'm not even sure why they came up and said now they support a field after they're the ones who created the stats 70% of people say they don't want it. Now they do want it. So I'll go back to motive. My motive is honoring the will of the voters and the intent of the voters. And they said they wanted sports fields. And so I will fight that, whether I'm on this council or not, I will fight that until it happens. Because that was the commitment I made. I don't get paid to do that. There's no financial gain. There's no money to follow. That to me is about honor and keeping your word. And it's about holding other people accountable who gave you their word. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further comments? It's tough to follow up off of that one, but there are some positive news in the town. I know Mark Trahan mentioned it earlier. We do have some very nice grand openings this past Saturday. Hair salon, MTH Hair Salon in the Wethersfield Plaza. This is by the UPS store, if anybody, or TJ Maxx, if you guys go there. Christine and her family and a partner run it. I went on Saturday. I couldn't actually go to the ribbon cutting, I had to take care of something with my family, but I did stop by afterwards and saw her. It's great, and in fact, I'm going to be sending some customers from my family her way soon. Continuing on that theme, the old Wethersfield shopkeepers have always done a great job. We've mentioned them a number of times. This year alone, for the scarecrows on Main Street, there are 86 applicants who put in for their scarecrows. I remember pre-COVID, we were somewhere in the 40s. I think we got to mid-50s during COVID. Everybody thought that was great. A couple of years since in the 70s, and now we're at 86. It is great. It's a testament to what not only the old Wethersfield shopkeepers do in promoting this, it's also a reflection on the residents who want to be engaged in their community and do something, at least for the month of October. There is a judging contest on October 11th, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Wet Barn for folks that want to be there for that. Get out early, scan the QR codes, make your votes heard. Jim Woodworth's name had been mentioned a couple times earlier. Jim and his crew with Source to See always do a great job. Not this past Saturday, Saturday the 23rd, and Friday, the Dad's Club of Wethersfield on Friday, and then the Source to See folks with the Great Meadows Trust cleaned up the Cove area, not just the parking lot, but around the warehouse and throughout the Cove, and nearly filled a dumpster. So hats off to not only Jim's group, but also the Source to See group and the Dad's Club. And thank you to the town staff. Fiscal Services was down there cleaning out the garbages for us, providing the grabbers and utensils for us, and they did a great job. And finally, something personal to me, because I did get a COVID and a flu shot this afternoon. Yeah, I'm feeling it, I gotta be honest with you. Tuesday, October 10th, from 2 to 6, the Central Connecticut Health District will be providing the drive-through at the community center. The following Thursday, the 12th, I believe, from 10 to 2, will be the indoor opportunity for those to get their flu shots. They will not be doing COVID shots, they're just doing flu shots. So, and then finally, the Cove Carnival is coming up not this weekend, a weekend after. The Friday 13th is Friday the 13th, Saturday 14th, and Sunday the 15th. Judy Keene, Mark Trahan, and the entire Keene Foundation put on a wonderful community event. So hopefully the weather will hold out, and we'll get a great attendance like we always do. So it's kind of just a recap, what's going on, what has occurred, what will be occurring. So hopefully everybody's got their calendars out and marked some fun things to do. So moving on, Kathy, you never left, a couple years.
Any good news? I have no report.
Okay. Good.
We should have her more often.
And Sue, Town Clerk?
Absentee ballots become available this week on Friday, October 6th.
Okay. Moving on to item I, bids. I don't see anything on our bids. I do see one item for a consentable item, and it's the minutes of September 18th.
Move approval.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Minutes are adopted. Ordinances and resolutions. Here we go. This is the Homeland Security Grant Memorandum of Agreement. This was brought forward by the town manager at the last meeting, and there was a public hearing. No comments on this. If I'm not mistaken, this is something that the town does every year. It just needs to be updated. I don't know, Kathy, you've been briefed on it and have anything to report for us?
No, the manager just let me know that it is something, as you said, Mayor, that is done every year, so it's an annual thing for Homeland Security funds to go to CRAG.
Yes. We'll do,
Move it if you can.
yep, make a motion.
Make the motion to authorize the town manager to execute any and all documents as stated above and related to the memorandum of agreement regarding use of federal fiscal year 2022 state Homeland Security Grant Program funding and custodial ownership of regional assets for the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, as well as the Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, Region 3.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We just have one item now for L, unfinished business. Again, we were presented 2 weeks ago at the last meeting. This is the right-of-way agreement with Christ the King Church. For those watching that may not know it, by new name, Corpus Christi, the parking lot to Corpus Christi on the Southstein Highway. Town of Wethersfield Board of Ed uses a portion of their parking lot for staff parking, as well as a exit after dropping kids off or picking kids up at school. I don't know if Fred has briefed you on this. You have anything as town manager to follow up on?
No, the manager just said that it was all discussed at the last meeting, and that included is the amended agreement for this meeting that's already been approved by the town attorney.
Okay. Well, you had a chance to see the new agreement? Yep. Yeah, and he does apologize. He did apologize that night that we did not have the updated one. Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Make a motion to authorize the town manager to execute the amended easement and right-of-way agreement with 581 through 601 Southstein Highway that allows for expanded vehicle ingress, egress, and parking within a town easement on the property.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Looks like new business. Seeing no new business, we'll go to the second public comment section. Again, remind folks, 5 minutes, state your name and address. You do not need to sign in a second time. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to comment on the fact that everything has to go to bid, is my understanding, right? Or we need to do some research on that, so therefore Sprint Turf or whatever was mentioned previously by Councilwoman Carbone as the company you're potentially going with. I believe that's something that needs to go out to bid. We already probably discussed that.
Everything goes out to bid.
Okay, all right, so you can't really consider something until it's actually gone out to bid. I was curious how we came up with that name too, but, well, kudos to you, Councilman O'Connor, for standing up for what you believe in. I'm still going to continue to do that as well. So then, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
This may not be necessary, but in my comments before, I mentioned coffee at Aroma Bistro. There are lots of wonderful businesses in Wethersfield. It just came out that way, that's all I'm saying. Good night.
I did think that.
How about on your front porch when I walk by?
You are more than welcome anytime, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Young?
These comments were paid for by
Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. You know, I keep hearing from Mr. O'Connor to honor the voters' will, the vote. But that vote was so bogus. And even the town itself has never admitted they had an appraisal of the Keisha farm, even though they did. And we have 3 people sitting up here tonight who held on to that appraisal, as well as the other 6 who also is on that council, held on to that, appraisal. And that appraisal is really damaging to your offer to the Keisha family. It never would have passed if there was someone who stood up out of that council and made it known that the folks out in the voting area should have seen that. But not one stood up. Not one. And we even had ladies on the town council who think they're as equal to their male counterparts. They didn't stand up either. Mary Breton was on the council. She didn't stand up either for the citizen. Instead, keep it quiet. And look at the mess we have. And we do have a mess, Mayor. We have a nice neighborhood up there that you want to put turf on. You'll probably be remembered forever as the one who drove it. Because you did. Your team, the whole team, they all put it up there. And that's a nice neighborhood, and now you're bringing that kind of activity to some area that doesn't have anything like that. And next thing, we know how it happens with Catone Field. First, let's get the turf on. Then let's get the lights up. And the council will end up, that council, whatever that council is, will go along with it. And next thing you know, that place is glowing up there. And Mr. O'Connor, who talks tonight, really nice, I sat here one night when he was talking about this thing that was going to be like this. Yeah, laugh about it, but then you denied you ever said such a word. How could anybody believe you? You're a disgrace. You lie. You say things that are not true, and then you say, oh, I never said anything like that. And there's some other citizens, too, that supported that you were wrong. I don't know, Mayor. You got some serious problems with this town. You got referendums that are going to come up on your schools. We're going to fight like hell to shut them down. You missed your point with your COVID money on your buildings. You should have spent money there. I know you bought a chiller. You bought a couple other items. But there was a lot of things you shouldn't have bought. A lot of places the money should not have gone to. I'm sorry if I'm yelling a little bit. I've been sitting here all night, people talking, I can't even hear them. I don't know why. But we're looking at some tough times now. Unless more COVID money comes, more free money. And what did the free money do to us, Mayor? We now have $34 trillion of debt that has diminished, it's devalued every dollar we have in our pocket. And every damn town across this country took that money. And for other reasons, and everybody took that money that could get their hands on it. And it diminished everybody's net worth. I don't understand how government operates in this fashion, giving money away the way this town, and I'm sure every town across this country did the same thing you did. The friends, the buddies, everybody got their chips taken care of. But what are you going to get, Mayor? You're going to say, oh, we got to have a referendum to fix up the schools. You had money to help do some roofs. You had money to do some other things on those buildings, and you went some other place with the money. You had to take care of the friends and the buddies and everybody else. But the citizens are now going to have to, we're going to fight to stop a referendum. And if we lose, we're going to pay because all your buddies got taken care of. And that's exactly what's going on here. I know some of you disagree with me, but that's reality. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Any of my buddies want to make a motion to, is there anybody else? I don't think there's anybody else. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Yeah?
Way to go, Kathy.
had all your lines written down.
Yeah, he concurs, he's in good.